Want to rise above what holds you back? These are the stories of those fighting that battle. It might also be the story of you. I'm Dan Waldschmidt, author of Edgy Conversations and strategist of billion-dollar companies all over the world. This is Mark Minard, author of The Story of You, the guy who knows a thing or two about never giving up. You're listening to Elevating Beyond. Let's get started.
Greatest album he ever put out was one of his first, right? Because that hunger and rage and that trying to express yourself and just wanting people to take you seriously. I meet a lot of people like that who are full of this righteous, indignant Old Testament rage, and you got to stand back and go get them, smite the rock.
Yeah.
And then what happens over time is either they make money and they forget the rage, or they get a little bit of success, and so they give up on the rest of success. That's probably the biggest changer right there. Or they forget how hard it was in those old days. And so I think two things you do is, one, can keep raising the bar.
That's
or
right.
two, take time to meditate and think about, listen, I remember we didn't have food on the table. I remember when no one, took the time to hang out with me. Now I got a posse with 15 people and everyone's telling me how awesome I am. When I was a nobody, who were my friends then? I think that's sort of, and this goes back to mindset.
And it continues to go into even like Eminem. I respect him, as an artist from where he came from. Talk about coming against all the odds. And you're right, for a while, like his success did turn into mediocrity. But then one thing I've seen with him is when he put out something that was pretty terrible and had some controversy and stuff, it was almost like that awoke the drive in him to where then he put out like another really good album a few years ago. I think the one that had that song, I'm Not Afraid, on it. But it like took him to have that kind of fire burning at him to get him going again.
Oh,
But what we're talking about is to keep that fire going kind of all the time. So
maybe you've got business
always.
conquer, but you need to conquer family. And maybe you've got family conquer, but you need to conquer church. And maybe you've got church and family and work conquered, but you need to conquer community. Whatever it is.
Yeah.
Our health. That's right. There are things, there's always something to challenge. And it's when we get scared and we say, I've conquered enough. Right? I've run enough. I've pushed enough. I've tried enough. Right? Now it's time for me to take a break. And that's where we fall into the dangerous trap of, I'm just going to shut my eyes for a few minutes. And that's how hypothermia kills you. And so let's get really raw for a second. I don't know. When we talk about these things like doubt or fear, we kind of like gloss over them. But, for those of you listening, I mean, and I know you've probably had this happen to you too, Mark. I mean, think about when you were so afraid that you're sweating through your, pajamas, sweating through your sheets. You're waking up and your sheets are wet, and you're going, I know I didn't drink enough to pee to bed. And you realize it's right. And I'll use this word, terror, panic, and you go, oh no, what's going to happen and how and when, right? And you have those thoughts about money, and you have those thoughts about the people you love, and you have those thoughts about business and community, and you're looking around going, why me?
It's all on me.
Why am I? Why am I? And the challenge is the question is the wrong question. It's why not you?
Exactly.
Why not you? Why can't you be the person who gets the heavy load? Right? Your shoulders are there.
I'm going to tell you, it is. It's part of what you have to fight through, and you want to get really transparent. Like I've never shared this, not even with you, but as we went through a big transition with this podcast, it just was emotionally a lot on me. My good man Dane, respectfully went off for another adventure, and we all love him. He's doing a great thing, but I didn't have much notice, and I was kind of on my own. And again, all that fear and terror came in. And Dan, you were awesome. You jumped right in with our first show, but I'm moving 20 million things around. We did our very first interview, and I was just so emotionally overwhelmed that when you and I got off the phone for that first interview, I was alone in my office. Everyone else had gone home for the night. I honestly, and I'm just going to share this, people, I got down on my knees and I just broke down into tears. And I'm not even sure why. I think I was just so emotionally fatigued. And I wiped him off. I had every voice in my head like, you're not going to be able to do this, you're not going to be able to do that, you're a failure, all this crap. I wiped him off. I shut my computer down for the night. I went home. You know, my wife could tell something was going on, but I didn't want to get too much into it. I just told her. We talked about it, you know, just briefly. There wasn't a whole lot to talk about. I gave it to God. That's just the thing I only know how to do. I went to sleep. And I woke up the next day, grabbed my sword, and went back out into the fight.
Dad, you know, we want to go more personal. I know we both talked openly about how hard it is to be in a marriage.
For sure.
That's
a good analogy for one step at a time.
Not perfect.
Yeah.
That's exactly right.
How many too many people give up on big things,
and there's some of you
against a temporary storm. They make a permanent decision.
Will say, "Oh, it wasn't meant to be." It wasn't meant to be. What is it? Well, you know what I mean. Is that you? Or is that them? Or is that just the situation? Because most of what I know about life and situations is they are what we make them. So if you're saying it wasn't meant to be, what you're really saying is I didn't care enough to make it be. And as you know, look, I had to develop a brand new set of skills. I had not developed skills in my life that said, here's how you work on your relationship. I didn't have them, and I had to start building them. Unfortunately, I was 26 years old when I started building them.
Yeah, but you started.
About a dozen years later, I'm starting to understand what that's like.
Yeah, but that's being real. And join the club, by the way, because that's another thing that most listeners don't understand. They think something's wrong with their marriage because they're having issues, when they don't realize that everyone goes through issues.
It's true for business.
Yes.
You know, Mark, we both own businesses. I'm sure you've had employees. I know you had that crazy lawsuit against you. It took you almost 2 years, and you were innocent. Right? Finally got thrown out of court.
100%.
But how many times have you had an employee say, "Oh, I'm not letting anybody take advantage of me. Ain't nobody gonna step on me." And I go, whoa. What do you mean? What do you mean? You know, a situation doesn't go your way, and now everybody's picking on you. Where are you at 2 a.m. in the morning when your boss is doing payroll and the last pennies in the company are going to make sure you've got your money and benefits?
Yeah, so many people quit way too fast. They make a permanent decision, again, over a temporary problem. Just like when you're in that darkness, Dan, you're waiting for the sun to come up. Your thoughts, your doubts and fears are real, but they're oversensitized. Everything's kind of amplified. And I've seen people in those moments make a major decision and let all these people know. And so there's no turning back from it. I've had team members do that. I've had friends that I've seen marriages do that in all levels of life, and they didn't stick it through. And then I've seen them come back and be upset because it was someone else's fault that they made that choice, and the grass was not greener at all on the other side. As a matter of fact, it was way, way worse.
No.
And then I've seen them more upset when they wanted to come back, and I'm like, you don't have good character. I don't want you back on my team or in my, I love you, but no.
Yeah.
You've got to learn. And I hope that teaches you next time. You can't do that, because you got to fight. I was just having a serious talk with my family. You know, I know time's running through here, but I'm just trying to help really keep it real with people. Our nephew we've been raising for 6 years, took him in, adopted him. Him and my son are both in 9th grade. And we got in a serious talk. They're in high school now. It's a whole other level. My girls are 7 and 8. Our other son's 1 year old. So I'm learning a lot dealing with them on that level. But I'm trying to teach them not to be good kids, but to grow up to be good adults. And I'm trying to really be real with them. And I really had to talk with them. Like, look, we fight this family. We're not perfect. We're screwed up as any other family. We have ups and downs. We have arguments. But one thing we do is we fight for each other through the good and the bad. And I said, if there's anything I can teach you guys about loyalty, is our family, we fight for each other because they've seen their mama and I separated years ago. They saw us go through the worst. I'm talking about her breaking stuff, me punching holes in the wall. I mean, I'm just keeping real. They saw the worst. They see us together now, stronger than ever before. It's still not perfect, but it's better than it ever was because our foundation, those scars, we've used them, turned them into wisdom. And I'm able to show them that, like, we keep fighting for each other. And that's I want them to take that, because too many kids are raised and stuff to seeing an example of when the going gets tough in your marriage, give up. When it's tough at work, you're entitled to give up.
Things get tough, and they always do. You're the first one out the door.
Yeah.
And you know, look, you don't want to have to go through the fire, but you want the strength that the fire brings.